I've been an avid fan of Guilty Gear since Exerd in the mid-2010s, and anyone who knows pretty much anything about the series knows that music is massively important, both in the games themselves and for the fan base. I'm no different. In fact, without even knowing it at the time, a particular song from some PS2 game my friend showed me stuck with me for years. A song known as Keep in Gates. So what am I trying to get out with this drawn out intro? Music and character themes are important, especially for Guilty Gear, and with each character having a full vocal theme in Strive, what better way to talk about the soundtrack and celebrate the ending of Season 2 of Strive's DLC than to go over all the characters' themes and discuss the stories that they tell, and when the DLC wraps up, which at the time of recording Season 3 has been announced but nothing is known about it yet, I'll go ahead and make another video about the new character themes and any updates to existing ones, whether that's new interpretations or things that I get wrong here. As a heads up, I'll be showing some lyrics on screen. These videos are made by the YouTube channel CloudDrop. Other than that, the footage is my own, so please check out his channel and give it support because it's really good and the songs are a banger and it's fun to know what they're actually saying. I'll link the channel in the description, and with that aside, let's get started with the main protagonist, Soul Bad Guy. Many people have said that this sounds like a bar fight or a bounty that Soul's winning, and yes, Find Your One Way has that vibe, but the theme is primarily about Soul's mindset in the game.
So freak out, yes, nobody is wrong. You and I both just have abused that soul. Someone will make me do crazy shit. With a lie and a fortune to the dead. Give me my place back and I will take your special place still. The world is not so tight, right?
Good and evil are subjective. Life just isn't that simple. From his past as a scientist and with the Holy Order, to travelling with Sin, Kai's son, to the conclusion to Strive's story, and his ultimate goal of living happily with his wife again. Let the man do his thing, and he'll do the same for you. As a near immortal being, and someone who spent a lot of that life on his own, I get the feeling that, after a lot of turmoil, Soul's just glad to be with his family now. He's a family guy. Roar of the Spark is about Kai's growth and conviction. It literally says in the song that he has to
go forward, don't look back. I can't believe in the path I'm on. Faith, pride, so what do I have to be?
And what he's out to achieve is just, namely the recognition of Gears as not being second-class citizens, which is a massive leap in growth from how he viewed them as exclusively monsters at the start of the series. And if he falls along the way, someone will pick up from where he left off. Whether that's his wife, son, or the allies he's gained as his time as a knight in the Crusades or his time as king. He might stumble, he may not always know the way forward.
I don't know what's right for the world. Oh, I may have lost my way. There's no reason to doubt it now. So what do I have to feel?
but as long as he remains steadfast and courageous, he'll remain a guiding light for someone to follow. He's not naive, he knows his goal is incredibly difficult, maybe even unrealistic, but Kai's determined to make the world a better place than when he found it, and I think that's just neat. The Disaster of Passion is exactly what it sounds like. A love song. May is head over heels for Johnny, the leader of the Jellyfish Pirates. The start of the song I think is all about people trying to talk May out of or downplaying her feelings.
Over time, most things fade away. Isn't that right? All of the memories dissolve. The sunshine, gone free song, go by.
But she's not just gonna hide or ignore them, she's gonna pursue it as best as she can, even if it turns out just like the namesake of the song.
I can't live without that precious one. On season follow, so let's be springtime, Cinderella. I will follow you wherever you go.
Is it odd that she has feelings for what may or may not be her father figure since Johnny took her in the first place? Absolutely, but sometimes our favourite pieces of media have really weird romances. Speaking of, do anyone remember that? So I've never watched it, I've got this knowledge from my girlfriend, but remember Twilight, where the werewolf fella wanted to marry the baby in the future, where she's an adult? Like, he wasn't interested in her as a baby, but he wanted to date her when she was old enough, like when she got married, when she was like of age, he wanted to marry her. Is that pre-ordering a wife? I should cut this, Jesus. Local British man is the distinction of having my least favourite theme in the whole game. I don't hate it, but in a game of top tier bangers, out of the box doesn't do much for me. That isn't to say it's lacking meaning or storytelling though. Axel was literally plucked from 80s UK to the world of Guilty Gear, and over the course of the series he found that he can manipulate time, so he will experience time differently from everyone, as the song does state. Originally he had no control over this, but by the time of Strive Story Mode he has learned to control his time manipulating powers. He was given the chance to go back to his own time and his girlfriend Megami at the cost of destroying the world he's wound up in, but instead of choosing the easy option, he decided to stay and protect the world he's found himself in, despite not owing anyone there anything really. Despite the massive amount of trauma being ripped away from your loved ones would cause, Axel's a chill, go with the flow kind of guy, and that's exactly what his theme is trying to get across. Former crackhead, now president of the Eastern Chip Kingdom. Like many characters, Chip's gone through a lot to come out on the other side stronger, and the song acknowledges that right near the start.
Life never goes our way that you want, that's how it is. No matter what life throws that you take it on.
He's dealt with the cards he was given and faced his life head on. He may be hot-headed, but he's not stupid by any means.
Gambling's only for fools, take nothing for granted. If you don't seize the chance, it's over for you.
Chip would absolutely have reason not to try and just sit there miserable, but his theme encapsulates his whole approach to life. Keep improving, go against the current, or else it's over.
Fight like a tiger, walk in the park, play the hero till I die. Fly like an eagle, soar through the sky. Be
Despite seeming like a hulking, empty-minded monster, Potemkin is a very contemplative character. A former slave in the airborne state Zep, man's favourite things are nature and art. He's an intelligent guy. He's very well aware of the faults of the modern world.
Those children through the sky, they sparkle testify. Just as grateful compass, disappoint and burning
This night for the last stand. You got through something so bad. Everything or breath you take is a countdown to your death.
The song is quite downtrodden. He knows some will see his concerns as stupid, but as the song says, he won't turn back on life. I think the more muffled lyrics in the song are also meant to reference his past.
cruel inequality. A blocking grid system awaits the rest to imply.
People trying to delude you without reaching out for truth. Those shielding hand the truth, but to oppress the youth.
Cruel inequality? He was a slave, that's about as cruel as you can get. But now he's in a position of power, he's actively working to make sure the same tragedies he suffered through won't repeat themselves. He's gone from, in the minds of his detractors, sounding like a silly clown to taking on that role. But he doesn't care. At the very end of the song is a cry out, a declaration of his feelings.
I'm a fool, I know nothing. I take the role of a silly clown, but I won't turn my back on life. I'm a fool, maybe worthless, but it's the word created my friend. So all I do is take a fall and pray.
Faust is a pretty unconventional guy, so he has an unconventional theme. It just comes off as a jumble of loosely connected thoughts, which is meant to parallel Faust's mental state. He was originally a pretty normal doctor looking after a young girl, and was going to use a newly created treatment. However, what he didn't know is that he had stumbled upon the secret of immortality. The powers that be did not like this and had the assassination guild, specifically Zato, kill the little girl. Faust was blamed for this, and thinking it was his fault, he snapped, becoming a serial killer known as Dr. Baldhead. This serial killer phase didn't last long, as he found out the truth that he wasn't to blame for the little girl's death, causing another mental breakdown and for him to go into hiding, and soon after a strange doctor wearing a paper bag on his head named Faust came into the picture. I think the more upbeat vocals
I tell dark invisible. You shall dissipate. Destruction, reduction. Power above all.
is meant to reference him in Guilty Gear Xrd, where he was a much more comedic character. The repeating chorus, I think, is meant to be him coming close to a breakthrough and healing, only for it to stop. The song gets quiet, and he's become fully lucid. He's reflecting on his past and trauma.
I had to run away from here before the storm hit. With the eye to eye, with the eye to eye.
It's gentle, like his true nature. You can see it in a lot of his animations in Strive. He looks a lot scarier, but he's actively trying to be the opposite. He hands medicine, he does a little peekaboo if you leave him idle, and his super is him thinking you're having a panic attack and trying to get a wheelchair over to you and help you up, even if he accidentally causes the greatest pain known to man, more than stepping on a Lego. At
Told me without you.
he gets this clarity, he's able to get back to square one, and ultimately help one lost, hurt little girl. In the form of Delilah in Guilty Gear Strive's Another Story. A woman who was taken in by the Guild of Assassins when she was young, Melia was literally raised to kill, with her deadly hair being her weapon. However, this is a past that she's sorely come to regret.
Even if I smash the mirror, how do we look? Not good.
There's a lot of things about her past and her life that she doesn't like. The big ones being the fact that she didn't choose the life of a killer. She had no control over how others chose to raise her. And the breakdown of her relationship with her former teacher and lover Zato, and in his descent into power-drunken madness. In the end, she was... As we get through the song and Melia gets to air out her issues, we get to see some vulnerability from such a seemingly cold character.
Oh, lullaby, I don't stop, even in the deepest dreams. Don't leave me till time stands still.
Until she resolves herself. Resolves to look towards the future and ultimately learns not just to accept herself, but to love the subhuman self. Of course, how can we talk about Melia without talking about Zato 1, formerly known as just Zato, no numbers. Zao was his name. He's the ex-leader of the Assassin's Guild. He made a pact with the forbidden beast Eddie, and side note, I love how this insanely powerful entity just has a normal guy's name. Like, it's like, I don't know, the universal will just coming out and being like, actually my name's Fred. Hey, it's Fred. Anyway, in exchange for power, he gave up his eyesight. However, Eddie took over Zato's body, killing him in the process. Although the pair were revived by Guilty Gear Xrd, except without any of his emotions. And I think the very start-up of his song is a little glimpse into Zato's mind, his reflection into the past before Strive and Xrd. Before he became Zato 1. Since being resurrected, Zato literally cannot feel emotions, positive or negative.
Drowned in pain, I lost my mind. There's no good about in there. Drowned in pain, I lost my mind. There's no good about in there. Vanish into dark. It is hopelessness filled by the light. A piece of desire.
Except that isn't quite true. He can feel emotions when he's around Melia, and the end of the song gives a glimpse into how he truly feels.
I once had some sweet memories.
Zato-1 is pretty much a different person from his original self now he's reincarnated, and now he has time to reflect on his old self, come to terms with what he's done, change, and most importantly start to build a healthy relationship with Melia again. He can get what he wants most, to be like a shadow by her side. The start of the song is in Latin and has a very mechanical feel to it. I think this is meant to represent Ramathal's original purpose as a tool for the universal will. She doesn't understand life and the human race at this point in the story, Excerpt specifically, hence the
There is a will, there is a void, there is no wrong. Just brings a time, just brings a time.
Running, calling, dying, just brings a time.
The song shows her progression, learning about emotions and what's right and wrong, indicated by the song blaring out various sins.
Let this spring come out, some destruction. MG, begging domination.
Her understanding of the loving, foolish world is improving and becoming more nuanced, and I think at about halfway through the song, we get to how she presents herself in Strive, now not viewing herself as only a tool, she now values her own will. She's now a much more curious person, whereas in Exurge she would shut anything that doesn't involve her mission down immediately. She now enjoys asking questions, and more than that, she understands how to love and take care of something. I'm 1000% convinced the line,
I just want you to hear someone's little voice. Is the voice of life.
is about her puppy, and no one can convince me otherwise. That is adorable. But Ramathal's now at peace. Despite its flaws, she's come to realize that the world is... Yes, it's not perfect. There are times when life deals you hard times, when you'll get hurt. But Ramathal knows that she'll be okay, as long as she approaches each day with... Welcome to Survivor's Guilt the Musical. Literally from the word go, that's what this song is screaming at.
I woke up one morning, strangers say hello to me. Tomorrow their names will be carved on the stone. We're going home, but I'm a terrible liar. Forgive me, that's not the act of betrayal.
In the world of Guilty Gear, Leo is one of the three kings of the United Kingdoms of Illyria, along with Kai and Daryl, and he fought in the Crusades, a big war in the lore. I did not realise that rhymed when I was making the script. Big war in the lore. Leo was also a commander at the time, so it's no wonder that there's some deep mental scars there. This aspect of his character is even shown in his gameplay with his Brynhilde stance, where he turns his back to his opponents so he can apply mix-ups to his incredibly aggressive fighting style. He has absolutely no regard for his own safety. He wants to take you down, but he also wants to be taken down with you. A newly introduced character in Strive, Nagoriyuki has two themes. I'll cover the other one later in the video, but I'll start with what do you fight for. The start of the song reflects Nago's mindset and values. Having lived primarily ages ago, despite his vampiric nature, he'll only take blood if he can manage to win in honest combat. And even though he becomes an unwilling servant for Happy Chaos, he's an ultimately gentle person.
Everything in this world leads to soul enlightenment. There is nothing wasted about our lives. The snow falling in spring, moon hangs during the day, one with self and time.
He's been sleeping for years before the events of Strive though, and I think the rap portion is used to represent how the world's progressed during his slumber.
Welcome to GN and Nightly News. DIO distributing AI models for use in the commercial market nationwide. Excitement is sky high over how this magic device highly acclaimed in the medical field and construction industries that we need to live and breathe will alleviate our crisis and reshape what our daily life is.
What Do You Fight For is a song of optimism in the end. In spite of what he's been forced to do, Nagoriyuki will live on, with his honor intact. Trigger is a noticeably laid-back theme compared to the rest of the OST, reflecting Giovanna's general attitude. She doesn't really have a huge connection to any of the cast aside from maybe Gold Lewis since they're co-workers. She's there to do her job and go home. Also, I'm going to assume that this weird bit...
Never mind. I'm dirty. Splash, splash, splash.
The whole dirty bit is from the wolf she has with her. You know, it's a wolf, it's a dog. Will go in muddy puddles. That's the splash splash. It's messing around in puddles, being a dog. I hope so, anyway. The fan man's theme seems to be talking about a day he spent with a special someone he looks back on extremely fondly. I don't know why, but a festival or carnival is the mental image that comes to mind for me. Parts of the song seem to reference helping someone overcome a personal darkness. This song is pretty much a love declaration dedicated to none other than biking, and no part of the song emphasizes this more to me than I think this is also hinting at a life together after the story of Guilty Gear with him, Biken and Delilah together, but we'll have to wait and see on that one. Considering what happens in the main story, this might be the last Guilty Gear we see Eno, and Requiem is a hell of a theme to go out on if that is true. Eno was a being created by the universal will, made purely based on people's hopes for a better future, and she tried, travelling through time over and over to achieve this, with it all amounting to nothing.
The time that passes, tell me man you love me things, but I can't feel it. Cut it out! I grew, I saw that I could see everything, yeah. Cut it out! I was an older
This, and half of her power being sealed away, stopping her from essentially becoming a god, kind of broke something in Ino. She did work for that man in the prior games for a time, but she's fully gone off on her own by the time of Strive, and with the revelation of her close ties to Axel, it feels like she could have been happy, but it wasn't meant to be.
Let's take some strawberries and go to the hill. If you want to see fireworks, bring it to the sky. The pictures in my head tell me a lot of stories. None of this is real. Cut it off!
The ending of the song most likely reflects her feelings at the end of Strive's story. If it took this much to put a stop to her, what she's done must have meant something, right? Maybe her defeat is the catalyst for the better tomorrow she was made to achieve. Even if that means she's not going to be here to actually see it. Now, before we get onto the DLC characters, I want to look at Nagoriyuki's other theme. If What Do You Fight For is about optimism and progress, Crawl is kind of the opposite. As I mentioned before, Nagoriyuki is being forced to serve Happy Chaos in Strive's story mode, and this song summarizes the absolute disdain he has for his situation.
The sky above the clouds and rainbows now fate has a deeper word. I gave up hope, but I'm not going to be lost tomorrow. Yeah, manifest as hell. I'm gonna crawl.
I think the repeating verses are meant to imply the monotony of Nago not being able to do what he wants at this point, the orders from Ino and Happy Chaos all blurring together for him.
I want the freedom of a cow. I want the freedom of a cow. I want the freedom of a cow. Earn infinite storm of nothingness.
But despite initial impressions, it isn't hopeless. Even if he has to fight tooth and nail for his freedom, and a comment I saw in his song lyrics sums it up perfectly. If you can't fly, run. Can't run, walk. Can't walk, crawl. The unit himself. Gold Lewis is the Secretary of Defense for the US, and the man lives up to the name. He catches a fucking missile in midair with his bare hands in the story mode, and his theme very much reflects his military background and imposing presence, with lines like,
I don't have to think about it. What we need to do is clear. Don't you think? I don't know any other answer than yeah. I don't need to know. Now eat your
But to me, there's a hint of bitterness or regret in the song, in the sense he's had to do things that he knows are wrong or prioritized his job over his personal life, but he's too set in his ways to change.
time for
But as seems to be common in Strive, there might be a little bit of hope for him at the end. The question is, does he have the conviction to start over? I think the unit can do it.
Piping hot, popping like popcorn. Can you hear the bells ding dong? This is it. This is it.
Jacko's theme is for sure one of the weirder ones on the roster, but it's all about enjoying the little things in life and living in the moment.
Just want to feel like that every day.
But as the song progresses, I think Aria's feelings are also sprinkled in. If you didn't know, Jacko was created as a vessel to house Aria's soul, Aria being the deceased wife of Soul Bad Guy. In Guilty Gear Xrd, it was pretty much only Jacko's consciousness, the individual body that is, but by the time of Strive's story, Aria's soul has awakened in Jacko, and the pair kind of live harmoniously together. But as I said, I think Perfection Can't Please Me does have some of Aria's feelings sprinkled in, whereas Jacko was a little bit more immature and just wants to do kind of what she wants in the moment. Aria is also there to get her priorities straight. I think the title is meant to be literal. Jacko doesn't want everything to go perfectly. She just wants to take her life one step at a time, now together with Soul. The intro to this Little Goblins theme sums him up better than I ever could.
It took me 10 years to find the answer to something I forgot about it in 2 seconds. That's about it.
The heavier bits are indicative of the nature of Happy Chaos. He's orchestrated everything behind the scenes, originally known as, well, the original. He's the founder of both magic and was the first human to enter the backyard, passing his teaching downs to Asuka, who would later come to be known as that man. However, the sheer amount of knowledge kind of broke him. He's always been around, but just goes from whim to whim.
I drift tonight, can't read by the ways. I will just be a black sea. I drift tonight and find I the one and the infinite one.
The complete detachment from anything that made him human means that he genuinely loves everything about life and the human condition.
It took me 10 years to find the answer to something I forgot about it in 2 seconds. I don't have anything that's really important to me. That's why everything is beautiful.
But he believes only real growth can come from intense conflict. That's when everything stops. The genuine appreciation of life comes on full display at the piano piece at the end.
Can you hear it? The pulses of the living. The ironic rhythm is a grand orchestra. It's never the same tone. Who wants to stop this? There can be. When the violent story's over, blue sky is more beautiful than ever. You see, I want that, that's all I want. I drift tonight the waves. I'll just be a black sea. I drift tonight. Please don't stop the flow.
He wants progression. He, in the end, wants humanity to benefit from everything that goes on, but he just tries to jumpstart evolution in the worst ways imaginable. Mirror of the World is what I like to refer to as the Bury the Light of Guilty Gear, a rock ballad dedicated to the certified baddie of Guilty Gear. And when I say baddie, I don't mean she's a villain. A woog. The song chronicles Baiken's revenge-fueled journey through the series, referring to herself often as the demon.
That's what you call my I must be a demon. God knows that no voice can be heard by the damned.
Or
I'm the time inside. I'm the time inside.
due to her cutting herself off from others to pursue her dream of avenging her family. I firmly believe the quotes of "no salvation" is Baiken being self-deprecating in her early years.
There is no salvation for the arrogant. God knows there's those who would better handle that is excellent to them.
Until it comes to a breaking point.
I don't need your sympathy. Why won't anyone leave me alone?
The instrumental using what I believe are wind instruments are her starting to mellow, warming to the idea of companionship. This fully coming to light with
If I had a comrade, I wonder what I would tell them. Yes, yes, I knew the answer.
the ending verses Baiken as she is in modern day. She knew all along what she needed to do to be happy, to let those close in and give up on a self-destructive revenge quest. Instead, taking in Delilah, since she sees a lot of herself in her since she's hell-bent on killing Happy Chaos due to the death of her brother, just like Baiken's decades-long obsession. So instead, she's resolved to be a mirror of the world, to reflect the warmth that she's been given. By... hint hint... they are a cute couple. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Now with the next two characters, Testament and Bridget, a lot of what I deem to be what their themes are trying to say revolve a lot around gender identity. Testament is non-binary and Bridget is trans, and I am neither of those things. So I asked some buddies who were non-binary and trans respectively for some help with the scripting on this, so shout outs to them. I really appreciate you guys looking over my notes and stuff. It was really cool of you to do that. Thank you. On to Testament. Introduced as an antagonist under control of Justice in the original Guilty Gear, Testament's design and personality has been radically changed in Strive. In canon, they've spent a lot of time on their personal growth. Once someone who was saddened and bitter at the world and everything in it, they now show a great level of care towards all life. A big part of their theme is the use of pronouns. Testament, like I mentioned, is non-binary, and I think part of the uses of both he and she is that they just don't care what other people refer to them as, but I think it's also in part to being that their growth has been helped by numerous people they've met in their life. For example, the old couple that took them in, their father Cliff, Dizzy, etc. One of the most important parts of their character is the chorus though. They don't hide away in shadows, they
Darkness, rather than the breathless vast
talking about not rejecting light either is important too. Testament doesn't view themselves as good or evil, they're just, well, them. And they'll continue to act like themselves and stand up for those who can't, best shown with I'm pretty sure referring to the winds of change, and
Oh, he flies to be the wings of the flightless, fly high to be seen from everywhere. She just tells them here's the wings out, whispering. He believes she's one of a chain.
which I just think is a lovely line, I really like it. With all this, it may lead to some to think that Testament is quite a grandiose character in nature, but their song goes on to state the exact opposite. The title says it all.
He never wanted to smash or die. He just wanted to be there like a wind, naturally, as a matter of course. He believes we won overchain. She believes we won.
The town inside me and everyone's voice. Only I'm not there, just watching from afar. I can't go home because I'm afraid that something will change. Me without me, I'm the one to blame.
The town inside me is about Bridget's self-realization of their identity. Originally raised as a girl due to a village superstition that twins of the same gender brings bad luck, Bridget's original goal was to set out and show she can make something of herself, and she does, becoming canonically one of the best bounty hunters in the lore. But doing this didn't make her happy, but she doesn't know why. The song reflects this. She gets close to looking inside herself and realizing what's wrong, only to get distracted with things like
I've been patient, but it was bearable. I've had the gray haze for a long time, though. I never found out what it was. I taste like vegetables I don't like.
and
I never found out what it was. I hate the alarm clock I chose.
but all throughout, you can still feel the song building up to something, until in the time of strive, specifically in Bridget's arcade mode, it all becomes clear.
Patience, my body is light. Let's paint the gray haze into sky blue. I know who you are. I'm not leaving you again.
She's realized who she is, not from outside factors or people making the choice for her like a village did. The partly self-deprecating lyrics are feigned, echoes, or gone completely by the end of the song. This is because she knows who she is now, and she's happy about who she is. This is Sin. He is 5. Zam! Sin is the son of Kai and Dizzy. Dizzy's a gear, so gears mature a lot faster than regular humans. The hourglass is all about Sin's naivety. He knows there's a lot of things he just doesn't get yet, but he's one of the most optimistic, good-natured characters in the series.
No much I know, understand. There are only few words I learned to say.
Take his arcade mode story. When Zato points out that he's very obviously getting scammed by a kid, he just doesn't care. He just figures the kid must have needed that money more than he did, and things will just work themselves out.
But I don't care. The hourglass does not turn upside down. On its own, I'm looking ahead. It will work out. Just go with what I feel.
It is what it is, the character. This next one will require a little bit of an explanation. For those who don't know, Birdman is one of the main antagonists in Guilty Gear Xrd, a man whose brain is so big that if he wakes up from his coma he'll die like a minute later. So he's strapped to a big mechanical bed that acts as his body. He dies at the end of Xrd's story, and his sister Delilah had the same condition. I'm pretty sure they both physically couldn't be awake at the same time, so Delilah wakes up to her brother's death, more or less, and her desire for revenge fuels most of Strive's another story. Now, part of the circle is definitely about Delilah's nihilism at waking up to a world without the person she cherishes more than anything, but the vast majority is about the bed. It's stated in the story and on Arc System's website that the bed is purely acting on a final program given before Birdman's death, to protect his sister at any cost, but I refuse to believe that's all there is to it. A lot of dialogue seems to imply there is a will of some sort in there, not just a machine following a directive. A lot of lyrics seem to speak about someone in their last moments, a lot of traditional hints about some form of heaven.
Nothing here. Pitch black, pure white, all the same. Endless, finite.
Now, general opinions in the fanbase steer the meaning of this song in a positive or extremely negative direction, and I do get both sides. Towards the end, it takes a quiet, more somber tone, the silence someone might feel when facing their own end. They don't see heaven, though.
Do you see the radiant light? Do you hear the beautiful chant? Do you feel a tender warmth?
Nothing here but gold. You can see the radiant light. You can hear the beautiful chant. You can feel the tender warmth. If you can give someone something.
There's nothing. Nothing except someone losing their life with their goal unfinished. But I personally can't see things ending so bleakly. I personally think, in his last moments, Birdman transcended death. Like Zato 1, who came back from the dead and can only feel when around Milia, the person he cared about most, I think Birdman's consciousness is somewhere in the bed. He may not be able to speak or interact with her, but he can protect his sister.
No home, no rest, no home. Copy that. I may not be able to make you smile, no, but I'll never make you cry, even once, never. I struggle to go outside of that.
I see the last words of the song as a declaration, as I'm trying to assure his sister not to be sad, to tell her that he hasn't gone anywhere.
I'm here.
And the final character of Season 2's DLC? None other than that man himself, Asuka, being playable for the first time. Being the unintentional main villain for the past 20 odd years, he's a very introspective character, emphasised by his theme, the gravity. The intro starts out as a villain's song would, and the instrumental even takes some cues from his previous theme, The Man. As soon as we get into the lyrics though, it seems to be him questioning himself, with lyrics such as I think this is meant to be an allegory for his actions causing harm, with him intending to help people. And the lyric,
Play back to history, answers within. Does existence have a meaning? The reality of a truth. The reality of a truth. What should we accept? The reality of a truth. Reality.
reflecting his philosophical attitude the most. The chorus is about him trying to find answers to life's questions, to the issues facing mankind. What can we control, and what is dictated by something like destiny or fate? Asuka questions these things, since he's seen his former friend overcome impossible odds.
As the universe turns black, did the sun ever defy fate?
Seeing as Sol is sun in Latin, I'm pretty sure this is meant to be a direct parallel. The song gets into Asuka's personal insecurities too, though.
Beyond all, do you recognize me? Does meaning have meaning?
He's scared that in through everything he's done, the damage he's unintentionally caused, he's now seen as a monster. I think the end of the song is trying to answer the question he has. Meaning does have meaning. He doesn't know everything, he doesn't know the truth, because he's too detached from the rest of the world. He needs to come down, both figuratively and literally. The man lives on the moon. And see the world for what it is. Experience everything he can, both big and small. Love overcoming darkness, saying, by coming down from his base on the moon back to Earth, the gravity, in a sense, really held all the answers. And that is going to do it for the end of this video. And literally as I was wrapping up Asuka's portion, because I took so long making this video, Johnny got announced as the first character of the Season 3 DLC in Guilty Gear Strive, along with some pretty substantial gameplay changes it looks like, which is very exciting. He's not out yet at time of recording, he's only been announced. But he's not actually in the game yet, so I'll be very excited to see how he plays and what his song is along with the rest of the characters. So I will definitely be making another video covering all the Season 3 characters once it wraps up, and making any addendums or corrections to the themes here. But for that I need comments, so I really want to know what are your interpretations of the songs in Strive. What did you think of mine? Did you agree with anything? Did you disagree? Please let me know so I can make a follow-up video that's going to be longer than just the new character themes. If you enjoyed the video, a like would be really appreciated because I worked really hard on it. If you didn't like it, then dislike the video. If you want to see more from me, then please subscribe. That would be great. That would be very cool. Just as a little, I guess, update, I'm going to be taking a little break from making videos for a couple of weeks. I know that I don't really have enough of a fan base for that to be an issue, but I thought people who cared should know. So yeah, that's going to do it for this video. Excited for Johnny. He looks very fun, and I'm sure he'll play very fun. So yeah, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you when I make my next video. Bye bye.